In this lesson, we're going to take a look at the solution to our challenge. So why don't you open the challenge code and then take a fork. And we've got our own version where we can now start looking at the solution. So we had to create an unordered list of 3 KPIs using li tags, returning data from the array. And I did add that if you manage to create a map and map through this data, then that is really the ideal solution that we are looking at. So I'm going to build the first way to start with. So I'm going to create 3 li tags. One, 2, 3, and just indent these. And we want 3 KPIs, so KPI 1, KPI 2, KPI 3. And then quite simply, all we need to do is access this variable and access the first element of the array, then the second, then the third. So we know we need to use curly braces, and we can just access data, square brackets, and then 0 to access the first element of that array. And similarly, 1 for the second and 2 for the third. So we now have our 3 KPIs being rendered in the page. So if you got that, then fantastic. It's a nice little introduction to how we can access and render data from a variable and from an array. Now there is a simpler way to do this, and that is to use the map function. So I'm going to remove this, and what we want to do is add some curly braces to start. We want to access data and then map, and we're going to want to return something after that map. So in the map function we can pass 2 parameters. I'm going to call val, and the first one is going to be the data, so that's going to be returning the data from each of our iterations, and then the second is the iteration number, which I'm just going to call I. So what this is doing is going to be looping through this data variable 3 times, and we're going to access the value in val, and I is going to return or record the number of each iteration. And each time we're going to want to return the li tag. If I type in KPI and add a closing tag there, you can see we've got 3 strings of KPI now being returned. So it's definitely doing something that we want it to do. And then we can add in I for the number, and I'm going to actually add I plus 1. So we've got KPI 1, 2, and 3 rather than 0, 1, and 2. And then we can add the val for value. Okay, cool. I'm just going to refresh this, and you'll see we may have some errors coming up in the console. We do have one error, so let's have a look. So each child in the list should have a unique key prop. So when we use the map, each of these children need a property called property of key, and it needs to be a unique number. So in our li tag, let's create a property. There'll be more on properties later, but for now we can add in this property of key, and we're going to set that to I. So we know that's going to be unique because each iteration is going to be a unique iteration. Let's refresh. And then it's got rid of the error in our console. So no errors. So the key is going to be 0 on that first iteration, and then 1, and then 2. And obviously that's going to keep being a unique number each time. Okay, nice. So there is a solution to our challenge. So we've been able to map through our data array and then return the data to our UI. And create that KPI list. So in the next lesson we're going to move on to styling and try and make our small application look a little bit prettier.